Legendary music artist Mac Miller once said, "I think it's time for a revolution." And I agree. Because human history can be measured by revolutions. Around 10,000 years ago, we had the agricultural revolution, which transformed us from hunter-gatherers into a settled species. This increased community and it increased stability. In the 1500s, we had the scientific revolution, which systematically taught us how to test, measure, and repeat experiments, leading to world-changing technologies and medicines. In the 1700s, the Industrial Revolution introduced factories that made it possible to do more in a day than used to be possible in a month, which transformed our economy. And in the last 50 years or so, we've seen an information revolution, which has increased our ability to create, store, and transmit information all around the globe, making it easier than ever to learn and share learnings. And while each revolution has moved us forward, there are also legitimate trade-offs. Settling led to less movement and poor diets, leading into increases in obesity and shorter life expectancy. I feel that the scientific method has skewed us to heavily focus on what can be measured, flattening out our intuition. These factories took our bodies and made us cogs into a machine. And we're just beginning to really understand the cost of the information revolution. Studies are continuing to show that our attention spans are getting shorter, our memories are getting weaker. We've had to grapple with seeing wars and mass shootings live streamed on the internet. And while these information-related costs often build quietly, slowly, a little bit at a time, I faced information-related costs all at once. I'm going to tell you a story about how that looked. I was a basketball player growing up. That was my identity. I loved the speed of the game. I loved the roar of the crowd. But basketball was way more than just a sport for me. It was a refuge. Because going into 8th grade, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, stage 4. And stage 4 doesn't sound so bad until you find out that there are only 4 stages. And so high school looked different for me than most kids. I would leave a basketball game and I would head to a hospital to recap the game to my dad play by play. I'd go shoot around on the weekend to distract myself in the morning from the fact that they just found a bunch of more tumors in his lungs. I was pretty good at basketball. I was the captain of my freshman and JV teams. I started on varsity as a junior, and then going into my senior year, I was playing in a pickup game, and I came down on somebody's foot. I damaged every ligament in my ankle, and I shattered my heel bone. I was devastated. The senior season that I had been working towards for years was gone. And on top of that, that same senior season, my dad's health rapidly declined. And the thing no one tells you when someone dies of cancer is that it's not really a smooth process. And so while my dad's at home, curtained off, his health deteriorating each day, I'm going to basketball games, watching all my friends live out everything I had dreamed for myself. Until one day, my uncle opens my door in a panic and says, "Shane, you need to get downstairs." And I knew exactly what that meant. And in that moment, I felt like my brain got hit with an electric shock. The rest of that day and years after are a blur. It took 10 years for me to fully process what happened. Losing basketball and losing my dad was just too much. I finally went to therapy and was able to, process what really happened. And that experience led me to get really curious about what happens when the brain is asked to process more than it has the capacity to handle. And what I learned was that when information flows through a system faster than it can be processed, it can cause damage. When information moves through a system faster than it can be processed, it can cause damage. My damage was that I couldn't remember the best parts of my dad. The happy memories, the life lessons, the car rides. Those got packed away in the same box that my brain hid away all the sad and scary memories. And when I worked with a therapist to open that box, oh my God, I felt like I had a weighted vest lifted off my shoulders. I realized what I had truly lost, and I got back way more than I understood was missing. I felt deeper sadness, but by facing that sadness head on, I reawakened my ability to feel true happiness. I had spent years doing more, working harder, just trying to keep pushing forward, when what I really needed was to slow down and process what was already there. And then when I came out on the other side of it, I started looking around and I see this pattern everywhere. And this all really started to click for me when I learned how an old train engine works. They're very simple. You have coal and you have a fire. You shovel coal into the fire and that powers the engine. I think of the coal as information and the fire is our ability to process information. The more emotionally charged the information, the more coal gets delivered. So getting stuck in traffic might be a little pebble. Losing someone you love could fill an entire semi-truck. The better you are at things like sitting with discomfort, feeling your emotions, thinking critically, or staying confident in the face of adversity, the stronger your fire. I got delivered way more coal than my brain could handle. And so I had to hide it away and figure out what I had to do. I had to just deal with it. And so now I feel like we can see what happened to me. I feel what happened to me individually is now happening to all of us collectively. We have social media feeds, news feeds, friends and family drama, group chats, work meetings. The list goes on. Every single day, we're all getting delivered more coal than we can shovel into our fire. There are entire industries trying to figure out how to deliver more coal. How do they make the next video autoplay before you finish the last one? How many ads can social media companies shove into your feed before you close the app? And now these same forces want to say, hey, look, we know you have a lot on your plate. Here, have AI think for you. Have it write for you. Have it code for you. They say the next revolution is the AI revolution. And I actually work in AI. And like other tools, when used properly, I think it can be extremely powerful. But I'm always asking myself, are the tools we're creating making people think more or less? Because when you outsource your own thinking, your own capacity shrinks. I literally felt this happen when I was writing this talk. I wrote my first draft, and I wanted to see, what does an AI model have to say about this? So I put it in. Next thing I know, I'm going back and forth for hours, trying to get the formula down for that perfect talk. Well, the first time I read it to someone, I hated it. It had no energy, it had no life. And so I decided to just scrap it and write exactly what I wanted to say. Because every revolution has devalued something in us. Our movement, our intuition, our strength, our memories. If we allow AI to do that to our critical thinking, what's left? And so I'm proposing an alternative, not an AI revolution, a human revolution. If you're in high school, feeling suffocated by everything that you're carrying, a human revolution is about making sure that you have the tools and resources you need to take a step back and say you need help and you need a break. If you're a nurse, a teacher, a first responder, a human revolution is about making sure that you have the mental health infrastructure in place, not to just survive until retirement, but thrive doing jobs that our society cannot function without. If you're an artist, someone who transforms your experience into art that heals and inspires others, a human revolution is about making sure that we protect and fairly value your work. And if you're someone who just stands and looks around at the world around you and thinks, this cannot be the path we keep going down, a human revolution is a community of people standing there with you saying, we can do better. And look, I'm just one human out of billions. I definitely don't stand here as someone claiming to have all the answers. But what I can commit to is doing the best I can with what I have to help find them. I'm now a dad to 2 young girls, and that has changed my perspective on everything, especially what my dad went through. He was 44 years old with 2 kids in school when he was diagnosed with cancer. That's a lot to process, way more than I could comprehend at the time. But his fire was unmatched. Every surgery was a challenge. Every treatment was an opportunity to get stronger. Humans are remarkable creatures. We are unbelievably resilient. I believe we can do things that no species or technology will ever be able to do. We are social creatures. We need community. We need connection. We can look back at the past and learn from it. We can look around at the present and see what's working and what's not. And we can imagine a better future and work hard every day to build it. That's what a human revolution is all about. And like Mac Miller said, it's time.